let's start on our backs. If you'd rather start seated, especially if you're pregnant, you can sit cross-legged or really in whatever way is comfortable for you. And if you have any height, especially if you're pregnant, like if you've got a pillow or something to lay on, that might help as well. We'll bring the soles of the feet pretty far apart within the knees notched together with one palm on your belly and one on your chest. And close your eyes. Take a few moments here. Noticing how you feel to be still. Noticing what's going on in your head. See if you can notice your heart rate. Maybe you can feel it with the hand on your chest. Notice if you can feel the rise and fall of the torso on the inhale and the exhale. And try to keep your attention on there. Just notice it as if you are able to watch yourself on the mat. And now see if you can make your breath a little bit longer on the inhale especially. Again, notice what's going on in your mind. What your thought patterns are as you do this. And see if you can extend your breath a little bit longer still, both on the inhale and the exhale now. Don't do it if it causes any strain, but just try to be curious and see if you can make it maybe a beat longer on each. If your mind has wandered off to something else, just notice what it wandered to. Gently bring the attention back to the breath, noticing the inhale and exhale and how that affects your torso for just a few more seconds here. If this feels really good and you don't want to move, feel free to stay here, and you can always come back here at any point during class. you want to begin moving a little bit, just gently begin to move the fingertips. Small movements in the toes. And your wrists, maybe making fists really lightly. And extend the right leg out all the way in front of you, followed by the left leg out all the way in front of you. Bring the arms up behind you, so it's like a long stretch, full body stretch. And stretch the legs out long in front of you, pointing the toes. You're pointing the toes, pointing your fingertips. Feel that stretch in the side of the body. And then gently relax. So you're still extending the arms and the legs, but not extending so much. Bring the arms down to the sides now. And bring the right knee in toward the chest, giving it a hug. So clasp the hands around the shin, hug the knee in toward the chest. And then release that foot down to the floor with the knee up toward the ceiling. Bring the left knee in toward you, clasp the hands to the outside of the shin, pull it in toward you. And then bring that left foot down, knee up toward the ceiling. So both soles of the feet are down, both knees are up toward the ceiling. Bring the arms down to either side and press the feet firmly into the floor and slowly begin to lift your hips and then your low back up toward the ceiling, one vertebrae at a time. And then slowly, one vertebrae at a time, bring the low back and then the hips all the way down to the floor. Again, gently come up. And then slowly come back down. Move with the breath here. So this time on the inhale, lift up. And on your exhale, come down. So if your inhales and exhales are slower or faster than mine, that's fine. Move with your breath. Just remember to inhale up and exhale down. We'll do this a few more times. Notice where you feel this in your body. Notice where you feel this in the legs. Notice how this feels on the low back. And in this movement, just like any movement we do today, if it feels better to pause at one part or another, feel free to do that. Otherwise, just keep moving. We'll do one more. And the next time that the knees or that the hips reach the floor, stay there. Once you're there, pause, taking your time to get there if you're not there already. Bring both knees in toward the chest, clasping the hands to the outside of the shins and gently rocking from side to side, feeling the low back. Hopefully getting a little massage into the floor. And then gently rock over to your right hand side, keeping the knees in toward the chest, using your right arm as a pillow, left hand down on the floor. Pause there, and again, if this feels good and you want to stay here, feel free. Otherwise, press that into that left hand to come up into a seated position, a cross-legged position, keeping the eyes closed, with the palms down on the knees, sitting really tall. Bring the left ear down to the left shoulder so that you feel a stretch in the right side of the neck. Keep the face relaxed. slowly bring the chin back down toward the chest. And then come up to the opposite side, right ear toward right shoulder, stretching through the left side of the neck. Sitting really tall as you do this and keeping both shoulders actively down and away from the ears. Bring the chin back down toward the chest. Gently blink your eyes open and switch the cross of the legs. So take the leg that's in the front and switch it so that it comes to behind the opposite leg, so that you're crossing the legs in a way that's maybe different than what you normally do. Bring the chin back down to the chest. Close your eyes if that felt good. If you'd rather have them open, that's fine. And bring the left ear back to the left shoulder. Come down through center. And then to the opposite side. And down through center. And again, here we're going to move with the breath. So on your inhale, come up to the first side. Don't rush the breath. Just go with its natural movement. On your exhale, slowly down through center. And really try to observe how that feels, how the neck feels in every little movement between one side and the other. Inhaling up to the second side. And when you're ready for your exhale, coming slowly down through center. Again, move with your own breath. Inhaling up, exhaling down one side and then the other. Again, if it feels good to stop on one side or the other, especially if you feel more tension on one side, feel free. Do one more on each side, taking your time. When you're finished with the second side, release the chin down toward the chest and we'll meet there. Try to keep the spine tall so you're not hunching. And if you're closing your eyes, blink them open here, lifting your gaze up towards center. Bring the knees together and extend the legs out in front of you, giving the legs a little bit of a shake against the floor. And then come onto your hands and knees. Spread the fingers wide so that the first fingers are parallel to the sides of the mat. And bring your knees so that they're about hip distance away from each other, which might be a little bit wider than you think. On your inhale, bring the chest forward so that you come between the shoulders, lengthening through the front of the body. And on your exhale, press away from the floor, round your back up to the ceiling and look back at your belly button. Continue these movements on your own, inhaling forward, exhaling back, again, pausing wherever it feels good. Paying particular attention to the area below your belly button, the low back, as well as the chest and the middle and upper back. So really try to observe something maybe a little bit different each time as when you come forward and back. The next time after you round your back up toward the ceiling, sink your hips down toward your heels and come into child's pose, widening the knees if you're pregnant. pause there. Notice how that feels in the body. If that feels good to stay here, feel free to stay, or you can always come back here. And if you're ready to keep moving, walk the hands back toward your knees so that you're sitting back on your heels. From here, stand up on the knees. So what I mean by that is it's just like you're standing up, except instead of using your feet, you're on your knees. And lift your arms up toward the ceiling. Good. Pat yourself on the back with the left hand. And then take the opposite hand, place it on that elbow, and bring that right elbow back in space. Opening through the shoulders here. Notice what the breath feels like. Try to keep it long and smooth. Gently lift the right arm back up toward the ceiling and then the left, and switch sides. Notice if one side feels different from the other. We often have asymmetries in the shoulders and in the hips. Lift the left arm and then the right arm. Inhale, grow tall, bring both arms up toward the ceiling. And on your exhale, twist to the left. So bring the arms out into a T, twisting to the left. Inhale, back up to center. And exhale, twist to the opposite side. Inhale, back up to center. And on your exhale, come down to child's pose. Bring the arms next to the ears, coming all the way down. And then inhale, back up onto the hands and knees. So right where we started, hands and knees, bring the chest forward, lengthening through the front of the body. Exhale, round your back up to the ceiling, sink the hips back down to the heels into a brief child's pose, or hold here if you like. And inhale, right up to standing on the knees. So bring the arms up toward the ceiling. And on your exhale, twist to the first side. Inhale, back up to center. And exhale to the opposite side. Inhale, back up to center. Exhale, down to child's pose. Inhale, hands and knees, bringing the chest forward. Exhale, round the back up toward the ceiling, then sink the hips down to the heels, child's pose. Inhale, standing up on the knees, arms up to the ceiling. Exhale, twist to the first side. Inhale to center. Exhale, second side. Inhale to center. Exhale, child's pose. Inhale onto the hands and knees, coming forward with the chest. This time on the exhale, just round the back up toward the ceiling. Don't come into child's pose. And then come to a flat back, so you've got a neutral spine here. Move the knees a little bit further back in space. Make sure the fingers are spread wide and the knees are hip distance apart. Bring the chest forward, just like you were doing before. Curl the toes under and press up and back into downward dog with the deeply bent knees. So it's like this upside down V with deeply bent knees, like you're trying to bring your chest and your belly toward your thighs. Notice how that feels in the low back. And then gently begin to straighten just the left leg. It doesn't have to go all the way straight, maybe just a little bit. Notice how that feels in that left leg. Then bend that left knee and straighten just the right leg. Good, and then switch from one to the other. So bending one knee and then the other. Then bring both legs to straight and slowly walk the feet up toward the front of the mat, coming into a forward fold. So baby steps, going slow, feet wide, releasing the arms, the head, the neck, all the way down to the floor. From here, grab for opposite elbows. If this is bothering your low back, bend the knees. Gently rock from side to side. Then come back to stillness in the center and nod your head yes. Shake your head no. Nod your head yes. Shake your head no. Bring your head back to stillness in the center. Release the arms down toward the floor. Place the hands on the shins and then straighten the arms, bringing the chest forward. So you're looking down at the floor and you have a flat back or an arch in your back, bringing the chest forward. Notice how that feels in the back of the legs. Keep the shoulders down and away from the ears, making sure you're not shrugging at all as you do this. See if you can lengthen through the spine forward, especially through the low back. Slowly come back down into a forward fold. And then one vertebrae at a time, really slowly begin to come up to standing. So really, really slow, knowing that you haven't been standing for a little while. Noticing the sensation of each vertebrae as you come up. We'll all get there at different times. So if you beat me there, do some deep shoulder rolls once you get there. If you're doing the shoulder rolls, switch directions, exaggerating the movements. Do one more in this direction. And then release the arms down toward the side. Just shake them out a little bit. And if you either didn't hear me before or if you joined a little bit later, I'm going to have you grab some kind of strap or an equivalent of a yoga strap. So like this is just a scarf. You could use this. You could use a blanket. That would work. You could use a towel. Anything that you can kind of make nice and long. So go grab that if you don't have one. Anything will work really. And then once you have that, bring your hands so that they're quite a bit wider than your body and pull taut on whatever it is that you have and bring that up above the head. Good. And then really gently just make it a gentle twist to your left. And then back to center and to the right. Back to center. And now widen the grip more so that the hands are really wide on the strap, and then slowly come down and back. So the strap or the blanket or whatever, if it's not happening, then just go really wide so that you come all the way down. And we'll move with the breath here. So on your inhale, come up. And on your exhale, come back down, down and back. If you're not feeling much here, then bring the wrists closer together. And if it's a really rigid movement, if it's not smooth, then bring the wrists further apart. Make sure to keep it taut. And then the next time that you're coming up, pause at a spot where you feel a lot of sensation. Just hang out there. As long as it's not painful, it might be kind of intense, but as long as it's not painful, pause there. Good, and then slowly come all the way back up. And with control, don't just drop it. With control and strength, bring your arms down and forward. Good. And then release whatever you've got, just release that off to the side. And do some quick shoulder circles, one direction, and then the other. Good. Release the arms down toward the floor. Bring the feet so that they're about 2 fist distance away from each other, a little bit wider if you're pregnant. Bring the arms down and away from the ears. On your next inhale, lift the arms up above the head. And on your exhale, forward fold. Bring the arms out into a T, folding forward at the hips, coming all the way down. Inhale, bring your hands to your shins and press away. Looking down, doing just what we were doing earlier. On your exhale, come back down into a forward fold. Inhale, circle all the way up. Exhale the arms down to the sides. Try to go slowly, deliberately with control so that your breath is slow as well. Inhale up. I know most of you know this, so if you want to go at your own pace or if you just know it without my cues, feel free. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, hands to shins, press away. Exhale, back down, forward fold. Inhale, circle all the way up. And exhale the arms down to the side with control. Make sure that your strap or scarf or whatever you've got is within grabbing distance. So if you moved it really far out of the way, just make sure you can kind of grab it because we are going to use it. Inhale the arms back up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, hands to shins, pressing away. Exhale, forward fold. And we'll pause here. So just breathe normally here. And if you're not with me yet, just pause when you do get here. From there, grab that strap again. Bring it behind your back. And then bring it up toward the ceiling. And maybe up and above the head toward the front wall. Notice how that feels in the hamstrings. Notice how it feels in the shoulders. Again, if you're feeling either tension in your low back or if it feels like a little too much in the backs of the legs, bend the knees, make it a little micro bend there to make sure the knees aren't locked up. And if some movement would feel good here and you want to kind of twist one direction and then the other, feel free to do that. Notice how that changes the way the pose feels. And then come back to center. Release the strap or the scarf back down to the low back and then gently off to the side. Release the arms back down toward the floor. Inhale, hands to shins again, pressing away, looking down, lengthening through the spine. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, circle all the way up. And exhale, bring the hands down through the heart. From here, bring your arms out into this goalpost or cactus position. And gently begin to pulse back really slowly, deep pulses. So not quick kind of aerobic pulses, but deep. So you're pressing the shoulder blades together. And the next time that you press the elbows back, stay there. Really open chest. Try to keep your face relaxed here. Try to keep your breath long and fluid. Good, and release the arms down toward the floor, toward the sides. Again, a little bit of movement, some shoulder circles, quick ones here, and then the opposite direction. Good. All right, from here, this might be interesting because I don't know which way your mats are facing, but we're going to use the mat the long way, so it doesn't really matter. It's like just listen to me, and hopefully my cues will be clear enough. So bring your legs really wide on the mat. So you're using it the long way, kind of facing the side of the mat. And then bring the left foot so that it's parallel to the side of the mat, so pointing toward the front of the mat, like where you were just pointing. And then take the right foot and turn it into kind of a diagonal. So the front of the foot should be making a line to the middle of the back of the foot. Keep both legs straight. Bring your arms out into a T. Bring the hips back in space and come forward, not down yet, but just forward. Notice how that feels. Notice how that feels in the legs. If you find that you're collapsing into the arch of the back foot, try to press through the outside of that foot. Take the front hand, the back of the hand, and place it toward that shin calf area and bring the top arm up toward the ceiling. And that front hand might come a little lower, that's fine. See if you can bring that hip any further back in space. So if the hip is really pointing down toward the floor, see if you can bring it any further back in space. Try to keep the shoulders down and away from the ears so they're not shrugging. Notice how that feels in the sides of the body. Try to lengthen through the sides of the body. There's a lot going on in this pose. Good, then use that top arm, bring yourself all the way back up. Arms back into a T. And then bring the knee so that it comes over the ankle, so that the thigh is parallel to the floor. Arm still in a T. And then bring the back hand down to the back thigh and slide it down the thigh and bring the top arm up toward the ceiling, lengthening through the front of the body, staying in that lunge. Good, come back into the T. Straighten the front leg, bring the arms down to the sides, switch sides. So take the opposite foot to point for the back of the mat and make sure that, and take that back foot so that it's in that diagonal again, making sure you can make a line between the front heel and the back middle of the foot. Bring the arms out into a T and make sure that the stance is still nice and long because sometimes they can shorten when you move from one side to the other. So you might need to heel toe a little bit. Come forward, not down yet, just forward. Notice how that feels in the inner thighs. Maybe somewhere else, try to keep the shoulders down and away from the ears and notice how it feels to hold here. Does it feel similar or different to the first side? And then take the back of that front hand and place it down in that shin calf area. Bring the opposite arm up toward the ceiling. Again, if you find that that top hip is really kind of pointing down toward the floor, try to open it up a little bit more and actively make sure the shoulders are down and away from the ears. If you're kind of collapsing into the front leg, try to lift a little bit so that it's like you're trying to make the sides of the body parallel to each other, really elongating through the sides. Try to keep your breath long and fluid. Notice your reaction, how you feel about this pose. Good, use that top arm to bring yourself all the way back up, arms out into a T. Looking at your middle finger and slowly beginning to bend that front knee. Make sure the knee doesn't come into the inside of the big toe, but rather tracking with the second toe. Bring the back hand down to the back thigh, slowly slide it down the leg and bring that front arm up toward the ceiling. Slowly come back into the T and bring both legs to straight. And the arms down to the sides. And bring both feet to face the front of the room, or to face the sides of the bit parallel to each other. From here, bring the heels in a little bit so that your heels and toes out. Place the hands on the hips. And take a little bend so that the left knee comes over the left ankle. So you're stretching through the right leg here, and then come back to center, and then to the opposite side. You're kind of bending of one side and then the other. Maybe coming a little bit deeper each time, up to you. Then pausing anywhere you feel like you need a little bit more time. And make this your deepest yet on each side. And then come back up to center. When you get there, bring the heels and toes so that they're parallel again rather than heels and toes out. Keeping the hands on the hips, bring the elbows to the back of the room so you're bringing your chest forward and come forward into a forward fold. So I'm going to just show you really quick. I think most of you know this. I'm not trying to get you to touch the floor. You're not rounding through the back. You're lengthening through the front of the body, so you're lengthening through the spine. And when you get to that point where you can't go any further without rounding the back, then stop there. So you're coming down, lengthening through the front of the chest, through the spine, keeping those elbows up toward the ceiling. Notice how that feels in the hamstring. Notice how it feels through the chest and the spine. If you have the strap nearby, and if you think that you'd like to do a shoulder opener here, you can do that. You can grab the strap and bring it up toward the ceiling while you do this. That's totally optional. If it's just not within reach and you don't want to bother with it, don't. Just keep your hand on the hips. It's up to you. If you did lift that strap up, go ahead, bring it back down to the low back, move it off to the side so that you meet us with the hands on the hips. Press the feet firmly into the floor and come all the way back up to standing. Good. Heel toe the feet back toward each other. And come to face forward so that it's kind of back to where you started here. From here, let's go ahead, let's come down to the mat, but we'll get there through a little kind of a mini sun salutation. So bring the shoulders down and away from the ears. And your inhale, bring the arms up toward the ceiling. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, hands to shins, pressing away, looking down. On your exhale, forward fold. And from here, breathe normally. From here, heel toe the feet out a little bit further and bring the heels in and the toes out. And then bring the hands down to the floor and bend the knees. So it's like you're in a deep squat. And that might be plenty to just kind of stay there. So hands on the floor, the knees are kind of over the ankles. That's gonna probably not be very comfortable, but it's good for the hips. If you want to try this with the hands together, feel free to do that. If you do that, and if you find that the shoulders are kind of collapsing forward, really actively try to bring the chest forward as you do that. So as I was reading prep for yoga for those who are expecting babies, I heard that this is a really good pose to do. So for those of you who are expecting, you might want to do this. Bring the hands back down to the floor and come back to straight legs, looking back, noticing how it feels to be out of that one. Heel toeing the feet a bit further, closer to each other and coming down onto the knees. From here, bring the hips all the way out to the right and then back and down, kind of like in a mini child's pose, and then up to the left and back towards center, and continue that on your own. So out to the side, down to the back, to the other side, and through center. Adjust the knees, maybe a little bit further away from each other. You should feel good through the hips. Do one more circle in this direction and then switch direction of the circles. And then do one more in this direction. When you come back to center, come to a neutral spine, and then just look back at your left heel. And then come back to center and come to the opposite side, looking back toward your right heel. And then come back to center, do one more on each side. And switching to the other. And then back to center. Extend the right leg out so the toes are still on the floor, but you're pressing your heel back, stretching through the calf here. And then switch to the opposite leg. Good. Bring that knee back in. And then keeping the hips directly over the knees. Bring the arms out forward, so it's like you're doing child's pose in the front of the body. Hands and knees in the back of the body. Head down toward the floor. Slowly walk the hands back up toward you. And then bring the big toes together, bring the knees out wide, and come into a wide-legged child's pose. So sink your hips down to the heels and start up on your hands lifted. And then maybe come down to the forearms. And then maybe extend all the way out, up to you. But even if something feels okay for 5 seconds, doesn't mean it's going to feel good for a minute. So adjust accordingly, listening to your body and what feels good and what doesn't. Again, if this feels good and you'd like to stay here, feel free. Otherwise, walk the hands back or the forearms back to the hands. Coming back up, hands in toward the knees. Bring the knees back so they're about hip distance apart and come on to the hands and knees again. This time, bring the left knee out to the side and the left foot out to the side like a frog. And then bring that knee in toward the other knee and then up toward the ceiling and then back out where you started. And continue these circles. Don't let gravity do that work for you. Try to be deliberate about this. We'll do one more in that direction. And then same side, but switch direction of the circles. So knee comes in and down, and then up and out. If you find that you're kind of hurrying up, try to slow it down a little bit. The stretching and strengthening. So notice which one you feel. Maybe both, maybe just one or the other. Last one on this side. When you're done with that, release that knee down to the floor. We'll do the same thing on the opposite side. Do one more in this direction. Then switch directions of the circle. So same side, the circle's going the opposite way. Last one in this direction. And release both knees down to the floor. Lift the hands so that you're standing up on your knees, just like we were doing at the beginning of class. Bring your arms out in front of you. So the hands are out and forward. And then bring the fingers so that they're pointing down toward the floor. So we're going to do that same thing, but we're going to do it on the floor. So bring the hands back to forward, come down onto the floor, back to the hands and knees, and then rotate starting with the left hand so that the fingertips point back toward your knees. If that's really difficult, bring the knees closer toward the fingers. The shorter the distance between the hands and the knees, the easier this will be. Then come to the opposite side. So the fingertips are pointing back toward the knees. The forearms are pointing toward the front of the room. That should feel like a stretch in the forearms. If you're not feeling a lot there, bring the knees further back in space. The bigger the distance you create between the knees and the fingers, the more you're going to feel that stretch in the forearms. And if you really want to feel more, you can begin to sink the hips back even just a millimeter or two, and you're going to feel it there. If you did bring the knees any further back, slowly bring them forward. That it's easy to come out starting with one side and then the other. And then sit back, hands come down on the knees, and do some really deep wrist circles here. And switch directions of the circles. Good. Release the hands back down to the knees and extend the arms, or extend the legs all the way out in front of you. Press the thighs down into the floor. Extend those fingers again and bring the hands down to either side and open through the chest, pressing the hands down into the floor. Press through the heels, opening through the chest. Good. And release, relax there. Bring the soles of the feet down onto the floor and come all the way down onto your back. Bring the arms down to the side. Bring that right knee back into the chest, just like the beginning of class. Clasp the hands out to the outside of the shin and pull the knee in toward the chest. Notice if it feels similar or different to the beginning of class. You can extend the left leg all the way down onto the floor if you want. That is going to add some intensity. And if you want a hamstring stretch here, you clasp the hands to the back of the right thigh and then press the heel up toward the ceiling, lengthening the leg. If you did that, bring the knee back in toward the chest and then extend it all the way onto the floor, or bring the sole of the foot to the floor with the knee up. We'll do the same on the opposite side, starting by clasping the left knee into the chest, giving it a hug. And if it feels good here to close your eyes, especially since we're getting to the end of class, feel free to do that. And then if you want to add the hamstring stretch, bring the clasp to the back of the leg and extend the leg up toward the ceiling, pressing the heel up. Bring that knee back in toward the chest and bring the opposite knee in toward the chest as well. So both knees are in. Extend the arms out to the side into a T and bring the knees down to one side and look to the other. Gently come back through center and then to the opposite side. Back to center. And you can hug the knees in toward the chest here, clasping the hands to the outside of the shins, or you can come to happy baby with the elbows on the inside of the knees, hands on the outside of the feet, or maybe grabbing the toes, feet up toward the ceiling. If it feels good on your spine to rock from side to side, feel free to do that, or you might feel it in the hips. If that doesn't feel good, stay still. If you are rocking from side to side, come back to stillness in the center. And if you're in happy baby with the feet up toward the ceiling, bring the knees back in toward the chest so that you're clasping the hands to the outside of the shins. Lift your head and neck, squeeze everything really, really tight into a tight little ball. And then exhale completely, coming all the way down to the floor, arms down to the side, extending the legs out long. If you're pregnant here, you can either do this with a pillow so you've got some height, or you can come onto the side, bringing the knees in kind of toward a fetal position. Whichever version you choose, we'll be here for a minute or two, eyes closed, in stillness and silence before I cue you out. Slowly begin to deepen your breath. Bring gentle movement into your toes. Fingers. Ankle. Wrists. Extend the arms out long behind you and your legs out long in front of you. Just like the beginning of class. Gently rock over to your right hand side, coming into the fetal position using your right arm as a pillow. Keeping the eyes closed, pausing there. Keeping your eyes closed as much as possible, press into that left hand to come up into a seated position of your choice. Palms down on the knees, sitting tall. Take a few long, deep breaths once you get there. Make this next breath the longest, deepest breath of the day so far, and after your exhale, release the chin down to the chest. Gently blink your eyes open and lift your gaze up towards center. Bring your hands to your heart. Thank yourself for coming to the mat for showing up, for making time for yourself and your health tonight. And I also thank you. Namaste.